What's going on, everybody? As always, your boy Scott Evans here. Time for another episode of the Ask Hunters for Life show. With the changing of the seasons and one of our favorite times of year rolling around, we are going to make this episode based completely around ice fishing. A lot of you guys have been asking us a lot of great ice fishing questions, so we're going to answer 10 of them. 10 great questions from 10 of our great supporters. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. Alrighty, first question from our good friend Dustin. He wants to know, what species of fish do you fish for? Pretty good question. Well, we're up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so a lot of northern strain species. We fish primarily for panfish, your bluegills, your crappies, your perch. We do quite a bit of pike fishing. We do a little bit of walleye fishing. We would like to expand our horizon on that, but haven't been able to really find them. We do quite a bit of trout fishing. We catch a lot of splake, a lot of rainbows, a couple of browns. Haven't caught a lake trout in a while. But overall, our favorite type of fishing we do is burbot fishing, or eel pout, as they call them out west. They're pretty ugly, pretty slimy, pretty gross, but extremely delicious style of fish. So if you guys have never heard of a burbot, check it out. They're pretty wild. Next question we got from our buddy Cody Johnson. He wants to know, or he says, I'm a first-time ice fisherman. What are a few tips you could give me to stay safe on the ice? That is probably the best question in this video. We take the most preparation, safety preparation, ice fishing first and last ice. Those are the two most dangerous times of the year. I'll give you guys 3 tips on how to be safe on the ice. 1, if the ice is sketchy, do never go out by yourself. 2, bring ice spikes. They're basically just little handheld deals. You wrap them around your neck. If you fall through the ice, they have retractable points. You stab into the ice, you can pull yourself out. And then last tip is if the ice is a little sketchy, always follow the shoreline, and when you're leaving the ice, follow back down the trail that you came out on, because you already know that ice is safe. Thanks for that question, Cody. Stay safe on the ice. Hope you love it as much as we do. Next question. The Bluegill Destroyer wants to know, if you could only go fishing with one lure in your tackle box, what would you use? Honestly, half the time I go fishing, we don't even bring a tackle box because I only use one lure. I'll just put a couple extra ones in my pocket and call her good. But that's a Chrome Haley spoon. If you guys haven't heard of them, it's H-A-L-I spoon, or a Haley jig. I'm not sure exactly which one it is. But they're made in Finland. I get the smallest size in Chrome. They're about, I don't know, probably inch and a quarter long, the lure. And then they've got a little chain on them with a little single hook. And they're really heavy, so they get down to the bottom real nice. You can feel them really good. And honestly, we just tip them with a wax worm. We use them from everything from panfish to trout. We've caught walleye on them. We've caught pike. Honestly, the only thing that we haven't tried to catch with them yet is burbot. So we might have to try that out this season. But yeah, the Haley jig, you can buy them at Gander Mountain or wherever you buy your lures. Chrome, smallest size, best overall fishing lure for anything. All right, next question. Ben Brook asks, I love fishing for pike, but buying sucker minnows is just so darn expensive sometimes. Do you have any suggestions? Sure do. No kidding with sucker minnows being expensive. It's not uncommon for us to go into the bait shop and drop $20 on just bait. Kind of hurts the bottom line, but if we're working on more of a budget, a lot of the times, and honestly, I honestly prefer this probably more than sucker minnows, is just your ordinary frozen dead smelt. An old-time Youper up here told me about it, and it looks terrible on the tip-up. Literally, you put them on there frozen solid. They thaw, and kind of curl over and just dangle there on the hook. But they put off a lot of oils in the water, a lot of incredible scent, and the pike just seem to love them. And we use them a lot for burbot too. I think you can get a pound, at least around here, you can get a pound of smelt, which is probably like 60 or 70 individual smelt for like $4, as opposed to getting like 2.5 suckers for $4. So yeah, try smelt out on your tip ups. If worst case scenario, if they don't work, or if you have a bunch left over from the last time, you can just freeze them. You don't have to worry about keeping them alive in a bucket or any of that. Or I don't know if you ever experienced how you forget that you have some sucker minnows in a bucket, and you go to open it up, and it's not a very pleasant experience, to say the least. But yeah, great question. Try smelt out. They work great. Next question. Steve Cornell wants to know, I love your new Frabill one-man shanty. What made you choose that one over the dozens of others to choose from? That is a great question. I'm not particular to any brand. We've got an Eskimo pop-up, got a clam flip over, and a Frabill one-man, so we kind of got them all covered. But the reason we went with the Frabill Sentinel is mostly because I looked at probably 10 or 12 different one-man shanties, and a lot of them, the sleds were so small you couldn't even, you know, put a hand auger in them, let alone the 10-inch power auger that we just got. So when we found the Sentinel and we could fit the power auger in there, fish finder, heater, and 3 buckets, and it was fairly you know, affordable. It was like $250, $270 I think for the shanty. Pain in the butt to put together, but other than that, I would highly recommend the Frabill Sentinel one man. It's the biggest sled on the market, and it's a great shanty. I love it. Next question. Dino Man wants to know, I'm also a fellow eel pout angler. What is your biggest pout yet? Eel pout or burbot. We honestly didn't even know that they were a fish up until a few years ago. We caught one in Lower Harbor here in Marquette, and that was, you know, we had to do some research to even find out what the heck we just caught, but got hooked on them after that, and started going down to Munising, and the biggest one we caught was, we didn't get a weight on it, but it was 29 inches. Not very big. I don't know if Dino Man's from Minnesota. They get a lot bigger ones out there, but 29 for Lake Superior. I was pretty excited about it. Next question. Trent Weaver wants to know, man, it seems like you're always on the ice. How many times do you go ice fishing a week? Well, as much as we can. Usually probably 5 to 6 days a week we're out on the ice, out on the water, out on the duck blind, whatever it may be. But I think we've only had safe ice for about 2.5 weeks now, and we've already been out, I think, like 16 or 17 times. So yeah, we definitely put some time in on the ice. We love it. It's our favorite time of year. Roy Nelson wants to know, have you ever fallen through the ice? Done a few polar plunges, but actually fallen through the ice, no. Hoping to not do it, you know, unintentionally, but we are planning on doing an ice safety video towards the end of the season when it's like, you know, one of those 60-degree days. We're gonna go fall through the ice a bunch of times, tell you guys what to do, you know, how to stay calm, all that kind of great stuff. But no, I've never fallen through the ice. I do have one of those ice fishing suits with the flotation in it though, but I don't really want to test it out. Wisconsin boy wants to know, have you ever done any whitefish fishing? We have, only once. My sister found this incredible deal. I think it was on Pinterest or something like that. But for 6 guys, all day fishing trip for whitefish on Sturgeon Bay in Wisconsin, right in your neck of the woods. But I think it was like $100 or $150 or something like that. So we went out there. When the shanty was already set up, the dude just drove us out there. He had a trailer with a bunch of benches on it, hooked up to his car, drove us straight out to the shanty. Had a wood burning stove in there, already stoked up. It was like 75, 80 degrees in there. Rods were already lined out, holes drilled, scooped out, lines baited up, and we ended up catching, I think, like 55 or 60 whitefish or something crazy like that. They are delicious fish. We don't really do much fishing for them in the Marquette area. Might have to honestly look into that, but yeah, thanks for that question. Jersey boy asked, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you ice fishing? 2 things, honestly. Last year we had 3 guys sitting in our Eskimo pop-up, and you know, all jigging for bluegills right off the bottom, and we had one bluegill. He must have came in from the side, and literally, I mean, just like that, came through and ate all 3 of our jigs. So we all started freaking out, thinking we got this huge fish on. We're fighting against each other, and eventually, you know, we kind of figured out what was going on. 2 of the guys opened up the bails on their reels, and we reeled up one like 8 or 9 inch bluegill with 3 teardrops in its mouth. So that was pretty crazy. And then 2 days ago, we were sitting in the spearing shack, and we had 2 or 3 visits from the neighborhood muskrat. So when you're sitting there, you know, you're staring into a 4-foot by 3-foot hole, completely blacked out in the shanty, and not a fish swims by. It's a pretty startling moment for sure. But yeah, that's probably the 2 craziest things so far that have happened to ice fishing. Thanks, brother. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's all the questions we've got for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you guys have any questions for us, just ask away. You can find us on any of our social media platforms. Love to answer your questions. And as always, your Vice President Scott Evans here. Happy adventures.